This podcast is brought to you by Bloomberg Law. For more information about our professional services for the legal industry, please call 212-617-6569.
I'm Spencer Mazyck, and joining us now from Washington, D.C. is Greg Stohr, Supreme Court reporter for Bloomberg News. Greg attended the second day of oral arguments for President Barack Obama's health care reform. Today, the justices heard arguments on what some describe as the heart of Obamacare, the individual mandate. Greg, what were your impressions of today's arguments?
The argument probably went as well for the challengers as they could have possibly hoped for. There were a disproportionate number of questions from the court's conservatives directed at the U.S. Solicitor General Don Verrilli, representing the Obama administration and trying to defend the law. And really that's where the action is in this case, because for the federal government to win, it's going to have to win one of those conservative justices. And they did not appear to make too much headway today.
So are you saying there's not a clear fifth vote here?
Not to uphold the law. Certainly not a clear fifth vote. The justices that we were looking to, because their past opinions had left some doubt, Kennedy, Roberts, Alito, Scalia, all were much tougher on the Obama administration lawyer than they were on the challengers.
Okay, was there any particular theme that stood out to you in terms of what the justices were thinking?
There were a lot of concerns, as there has been throughout this case, on whether there was any limit to what the government was arguing. You know, questions about, well, could you require people to have a cell phone? Could you require people to buy a car? Could you require people to buy broccoli? The justices, the Republican-appointed justices, were concerned about what happens if we say you can regulate in this area, you can require people to buy insurance in this area. Does that mean you can require people to purchase any product?
What about the individual liberty? I mean, the notion that the mandate could change the relationship between government and individuals.
That was a big point for Justice Kennedy. And individual liberty is kind of one of the hallmarks of his jurisprudence. It's something that comes up when he's on with the court's liberals or when he's with the court's conservatives. And he did mention that. He talked about this changing the relationship between the federal government and the individuals in as he put it, a very fundamental way. So certainly that is a strain that may well make a big difference in his view of the case.
Did any of the conservative justices seem to embrace the argument that the insurance industry is uniquely positioned for government regulation?
There was certainly no clear evidence that any of them embraced that position. On several occasions, the Chief Justice, John Roberts, sort of characterized that argument, but when he did it, I think in every instance, certainly in almost every instance, prefaces it by saying the government says that or something like that. He did not put it out there as something that he personally was concerned about. He was putting it out there as an argument that he wanted the advocates to respond to.
And, you know, I'm also curious, at some point, did any of the more liberal justices come to the aid of the Solicitor General to support his arguments here?
They did, and they were much more active, actually, when the lawyers of the other side got up, because they were questioning them. They said, they talked about how, for example, when young people don't have insurance and then they do end up having to go to the emergency room, it's the rest of us who pay for it. They, both Justices Ginsburg and Justice Kagan, made that point, and Justice Sotomayor as well, I believe. They made that point. Justice Breyer, talked about how he didn't see this as all that different from a law that would require people to get inoculated if there were a major communicable disease that was spreading, and the government needed to jump in quickly to make everybody get inoculations. So they were, the four Democratic appointed justices were pretty clear that they were solid votes to uphold the law.
Well, and did Clement, who was actually arguing for the challengers here, did he respond well to the questioning from the liberal justices?
He certainly stood his ground. Paul Clement has a well-deserved reputation as being, one of the superstars here, and he had an answer for every question. Not sure he persuaded the justices who started off disagreeing with him, but it was a pretty good day for Paul Clement.
Okay, and so again, I have to ask you, I know you said that there's no clear fifth vote, but based on the questioning, though, who do you think is the closest, perhaps?
Probably the two justices to look to are Roberts and Kennedy. Those are the two who we're asking questions of both sides. And at least, Kennedy, to be fair, did express a concern near the end of the argument that as he put it, that there really is a connection between people who don't buy insurance and the rest of the healthcare market. That he did see that there was a problem that the federal government was trying to address by trying to get everybody to get into the insurance market. So he is a vote that I'm sure the government is still maintaining hope that they can win.
Okay, and just finally, with the mass amount of skepticism coming from the conservative justices, where does that leave the fate of the individual mandate, which I described earlier as the heart of Obamacare?
There's certainly a lot of doubt about it right now. Arguments can be deceiving, no question about that. Sometimes, justices will change their mind later. Sometimes they, are playing devil's advocate when some of us in the press section think that they are, more solidly committed. But there was, a lot more from this argument that the challengers are gonna feel good about than those who support the mandate.
All right. Thanks very much, Greg, for your insight. We appreciate it.
Sure thing.
Greg Stohr of Bloomberg News. For more information on this or other topics, subscribe to BloombergLaw.com. And you can follow us on Twitter. Thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.
Copyright 2012 Bloomberg Finance LP. All rights reserved. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and not of Bloomberg Finance LP. These discussions are for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice, which has to be addressed to particular facts and circumstances involved in any given situation. Bloomberg Finance LP and its affiliated entities do not take any responsibility for the content contained herein and do not make any representation or warranty as to its completeness or accuracy.